Quickly, Stephen from the Historical Minutes Research Team. This video is going to actually be a combination of different things. I'm going to just sort of pull things from Shonen Ginen Kiden, from the Gunpo, everything. Okay? The very first thing that I want to pull from is the Gunpo, right? Which one of the very first verses in here. If you guys have the book, just go to it. How a shinobi should equip and dress himself. This is a very interesting verse because the shinobi should not be ashamed of running away when they are pursued by people, etc., etc., etc. You should, therefore, you should not have anything with your Lord's name upon you, etc., etc., etc. That verse, okay. This is a very telling verse. This is a very poignant verse because, on one hand, it discusses what loyalty means in terms of shinobi, right? Loyalty doesn't mean dying for one's Lord. For shinobi, loyalty means not dying. In so many ways, loyalty means not screwing the mission up, right? So if caught, you're to run away, leave your swords, leave your tools, leave everything behind. You don't get caught, right? That's like the definition of serving the Lord. This is an important verse. Also within the same verse, it discusses, not having any, identifying marks. Now that's, of course, very understandable, not to have any identifying marks. But at the same time, it also mentions this idea of dressing as a beggar or dressing as a merchant. Now this is very interesting because people are always discussing, go across all these books written and across the internet, they always discuss people dressed in disguises for the purpose of inserting themselves into the enemy, so to speak, right? Getting themselves into the enemy's ranks and getting themselves in the enemy's organization. This verse discusses disguising oneself as a means to disguise the Lord. Do you see what I'm saying? So in this case, it's like, even if you're not trying to have a disguise to get into the enemy's ranks or within the enemy's fold, you would still need a fake identity to operate one. So your base identity would be a fake identity, because the idea here is at no point should you behave or conduct yourself in a way which gives away who you are serving. This is a distinction. Again, I'll repeat this one time. People assume that when you're in disguise, it's you are operating as yourself, and then you put on a disguise and then you go sneak into the enemy. This is saying how disguises, even from the base operational level, you have to have a fake identity. Because at no point should you be able to be traced back to who you're actually serving. This has really deep implications. For example, a Ning Shi who is operating may not even share his real identity with his Nin Pei, assuming that those Nin Pei are not the ones assigned to him by his Lord. Like, for example, if you think like something along the lines of some of the Yonin where within the enemy's territory you recruited people, right? They would not know your actual identity, for example. Like, that is an implication. I mean, of course, sometimes they might, but the point of the matter of what I'm trying to get across here is this really understanding the necessity for people to not know who you are, even when you're just sitting around in secret planning, right? So when you're traveling from place to place. So essentially, again, what am I getting at? I'm getting at the fact that it is disguising yourself as a merchant or as a beggar, etc., etc., is not solely for the purpose of sneaking into the enemy's territory, so to speak, into the castle or into the mansion or whatever it is, but also just how simply conducting yourself from day to day. One has to have a false identity. Right. All right, next point. I was partially wrong on my own private channel when I said the shinobis never use telescopes. There is a small example of Takeda Shingen having a telescope. For example, in the Gunpo, there is a variation of the scout. It's kind of like a tower, but it's not a tower. It's literally like a box that the scout gets in, and then they lift him up. And then from there, certain people within Takeda's forces had access to telescopes. It wasn't that there was a wide variety of telescopes available. It was like a secret weapon. It was like just Takeda Shingen had one telescope, right? And then I think I don't know the details behind it, but somehow like there was a couple more. Either they manufactured them or they were given, but actually telescopes were one of the secrets of Takeda Ru scouts and ninjas. Okay, so that's something else to mention in here. The idea is that I was partially wrong. I was wrong in the sense that I wasn't 100% correct, but in general, shinobi did not have telescopes. Takeru, shinobi, or Takeda Shingen, not Takeda, Takeda Shingen's shinobi, some of them had access to a few telescopes, and it was a clan secret, and it's not like it survived and flourished. So, aside from those few scouts from Takeda's forces, the rest of Japan, very few people ever had a telescope. Whereas for scouts, it was very proliferate. But I'm using this section to correct myself and also to put it out there on the team's website.